What's going on, man? How are you?
I am living the dream, my friend.
Yeah,
every day.
It's been quite a bit. You were on the show when I first started this thing because I was like, man, I got to get some people, and I was like, let me reach out to you,
Yeah.
And it was via Zoom during the pandemic.
It was,
and
right
that
as
was
it started.
Yeah, it was like this is the very early stages of the show because I think I started in like 2019, like probably 2 or 3 months prior.
Right.
And we started the show, and COVID hit, and I was like, oh crap, I can't do any shows anymore.
Right.
And so I just started reaching out to guests via Zoom, and surprisingly got a lot of large guests because you being one of them.
Yeah, thank you. That's funny.
Surprisingly got a lot of large guests because no one was doing anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, honestly, you had a part in that because I think that's kind of how the show really started growing to a way larger audience than just locally.
Yeah.
Because, you can reach more people that way.
I got to do it from the comfort of my backyard.
Yeah, man.
I was sitting back there and just, we were all in shock, man. I just had how is this even possible that we're living in this world right now where we've got to do these things that we don't want to have to do. But in some instances, it really changed everything for the better in some cases, right?
Yeah, man. It seems like so far away now. Like I almost couldn't remember life before it, from a professional standpoint, not personally, but, everything in business has shifted,
But I had a guy that I met many years ago who was a big wine guy. Just red wines and white wines, and he just had this huge wine collection. And he says, "You know what the best wine is?" I said, "No, which one?" He goes, "The one that you like." Because it's one that tastes good to you. If you like barefoot, God bless you, drink barefoot wine.
Yeah.
If you'd like to have a more refined palate, well, then that's great, and you can do that too. But just drink what you like. You don't have to worry about all that other bullshit.
No, yeah, I agree. I think I got into being able to tell the difference once we would have a couple bottles. Like we'd have 2 or 3 different bottles, and we would all bring one, and then we'd get someone to donate one, and we would just try them, and then you could compare. Well, this is a Reposado, and this is a Añejo, and this is a Blanco, and then you can taste the difference, but still, the science of it I could care less about. But it is interesting how these spirits come about and how they make very subtle adjustments, and it changes the entire flavor of something,
You know what I'd like to do a show on or a podcast on or moonshine. You watch the show Moonshine or somebody. You got some here in Louisiana that do the one with the peppers in it.
Yeah.
And then you got the moonshiners up in North Carolina and South Carolina. It'd be fun to do a line of those.
No, dude, it would.
I don't know that we'd walk out.
Have you had some serious authentic moonshine that's just absolutely insane?
Yeah.
You've had it. Yeah. It is crazy.
It's in somebody's at their bar in a jar.
Yeah, and it's been there a while because no one can drink it.
Right.
We someone had given me some, man, probably 10 years ago, and I think that thing traveled through 2 or 3 houses, 2 or 3 of my past lives,
right,
and then made it to my home. And we finished it off one night when me and the neighbors were over, my wife and I, the neighbors or whatever, and that jar had to have been 10 years old.
Yeah.
And it didn't get any better, but I don't think it got any worse either. But it's extremely stout, that's for sure.
You do have to be careful that you don't get poisoned when you do stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
but
it's got to be from someone you know.
Yeah,
But
that's fun. So I like to cook. I like to do stuff like that. I love to make a drink. I'd love to make you a good margarita.
Oh, heck yeah.
I call it the bad decision margarita.
Oh, so you got your own little recipe.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a bad decision margarita because you're going to drink one of them, and the bad decision's when you ask me for a second. Because you're not going to like what happens after that. So I like doing all of that stuff, and I like figuring out the process, right, and going through the steps. And okay, this is what you did, and I'm gonna repeat that, and then maybe I'm gonna change it up a little bit and make it my own thing. And I would love to distill some liquor. I just don't have a still or time at this point. But at some point in life, because you can do it. You if you're not selling it, you can distill.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Personal use, kind of thing. I'm not going out there
trying to
find me a still site in the swamps of South Louisiana.
I wonder how that works with the humidity difference, though. Because that plays a big part in why they bottle and steal stuff in the mountains versus, all that stuff.
Well,
I don't know the logistics behind it, but I do know it plays a huge part.
Yeah.
Specifically, just like with tequila, with agave, it's a certain elevation level where it's, grown, and that's all basically in Jalisco, Mexico,
Yeah. I think for sure you''ve got a better chance of success in North Carolina and the mountains than you do
Tennessee,
in the swamps of Louisiana. But those alligator people drink just about anything.
Oh heck yeah, man. No, there's actually a local tequila that we had. Josh, will you grab that, bring that in here, just so I can give them a shout out, because it may be somebody you might actually know, or you might.
Okay.
You never know. I know you have a massive network. How is that? Like, how does it feel to know? So you're the executive director over how many chapters?
So I have all of Louisiana and central and southern Mississippi. It's 51 chapters currently.
Okay.
With 1,070 members. Now that's currently. We turn over probably a quarter to half of our membership.
It's the purple and gold one. Yeah.
We turn over either a quarter to a half of our membership annually.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is absolutely insane to me.
This one is where is it distilled and bottled?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know them, but
have you seen them? So they're Donaldsonville.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that at? Is that near you somewhere?
Yeah,
Donaldsonville.
It's closer to Baton Rouge, I think.
So the family name's Noel. So it's still bottled and imported in the distillery, but it's bottled in Mexico, I would assume, or I don't know how that works. But yeah, this is the only tequila that we accidentally found that's actually a local tequila, you would say,
Mm-hmm.
But we might have to take a little sip of that next, just for the heck of it.
It's interesting that because distillation is thick, right? You got the J.T. Mellick bourbon, which is in South Louisiana. It's a local bourbon. There's Old Soul bourbon is over in Mississippi, and there, if you ever get a chance to get your hands on the tin type from Old Soul, it is $110 bottle of bourbon and is worth every penny.
And it's in where at Mississippi?
That's a good question.
Where's that? What's the name of the distillery?
Old Soul.
Old Soul Distillery. And since we're just getting out shouting out to all our local folks down here today. But yeah, man, what is that like? So what is it like going? Well, let's talk about the turnover. Like, isn't that insane how
it is?
Like, what do you think? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's a couple of reasons. The first one is not a great reason. Let's see, what is it? Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson. Oh, in Jackson. Okay, that's Cathead. That's Old Soul. That's based out of Cathead. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So the first reason is I joined this BNI chapter. I started getting all these referrals and all this business, and I can't handle it.
Okay.
And I've got to go service the clients that I've received. Instead, I recommend that you read a book by, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the book now. It's one of my favorites.
Remember the author?
Boy, I just drew a blank on it. See, this is why I don't drink tequila.
Tequila, man. Here you go.
And talk business.
Business casual, man.
Yeah,
we're business
right.
casual.
Very casual.
We'll circle back to it.
It teaches you how to run a business and how to scale the business.
Okay.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
We'll circle back. You'll remember in a second.
That's going to kill me. It's really going to make me mad. Because I can see the book. The E-Myth, thank you, by Michael Gerber.
Okay.
The Entrepreneurial Myth. So
you really had it on the tip of your tongue. When I say that, typically I'm way off. I think I have it right there, but it's not.
It was right there. The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Great book. Teaches you how to go from technician to business owner. Right? Okay. And so, for example, when I first bought the franchise from BNI, for these areas, it was 2003. And I bought it because I thought I was...
You had only been in for 4 years?
Mm-hmm. So I thought I was doing everything, right? Yeah. I had started a bunch of chapters. It's like, I need to own this. I'm doing everything. And I bought it. And very shortly thereafter, I realized very quickly, I did not do everything. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I didn't have a degree. I didn't go to business school. And I didn't know anything about payroll, insurance, and trainings and hiring people and putting people in place. I didn't know anything about any of that, but I learned on the job very quickly.
Yeah.
And so the E-Myth is a great book that helps teach you how to go from technician to business
How'd you
owner.
come across that?
The E-Myth?
Yeah, just want to refer it to you?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
yeah.
It was, when you're immersed in BNI, you're immersed in education.
Yeah.
From all, not just BNI education, but as an executive director, you always want to get better, right? I always want to grow, and I want to be better tomorrow than I was today. And so I've read a lot of business books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and one by Jeff Olson called The Slight Edge, which talks about the little things that you do every day that makes a huge difference at some point. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm here. How did that happen? So in 2003, I bought the franchise, realized quickly I wasn't doing everything that I should be doing, but was able to learn enough on how to do it so I didn't have to go out of business and hire people. I can hire people to do the trainings. I can teach them how to run the chapters and do those kinds of things. But somebody needs to run the business side of it.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
So I think that's one reason why people leave BNI. The second reason that people leave BNI is because they're not getting anything. Right, I'm in this chapter. I'm with this group of people. I haven't developed any relationships with anybody. I just show up for the 90 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't get anything out of it, so it didn't work for me.
I can teach a class on that though.
Yeah,
I mean I got to speak on that because I've seen that happen so many times, and I think that's one. I think it's, and this may hurt some feelings, but I think it's maybe product of a poor vetting process initially,
for sure,
because I think it's most important to make sure that the members of we call it like a tribe or anything. The members of your tribe, your local tribe or your business, whatever, your business networking group, we call it business therapy sometimes. I think that's what I call it all the time. But I think it's important to make sure that it's not necessarily that they're not a great fit for business or even business networking, but they may not be the best fit for that culture or that group.
Sure.
Or expectations weren't set in the beginning.
Or they just don't know.
Or they're not willing to, or they're wanting to show up and get something and not put the work in.
Well, that's a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
People come and they go, okay, well, I paid you my money. I'm showing up for the meetings. I did the same thing. I paid my money. I'm showing up for meetings. Where are my referrals? And the director said, well, have you earned them? So, well, I'm showing up for meetings. Yeah. No, you haven't earned them.
Yeah.
You have to build relationships. You have to go out and do one-to-ones and learn about people and refer them and build a relationship so that they want to refer you. And that takes 8, 10, 12 months when you're in a chapter. And a lot of folks will go, well, I'm 6 months in. I haven't gotten anything. I'm wasting my time. I'm out. Yeah. And they leave right before that relationship and that trust and also, that
depending on your area of expertise.
For sure.
Some businesses, you have to establish a lot of trust before you're getting a referral versus if someone's just, a more transactional retail,
For sure. So you're talking about a florist versus a financial planner or a CPA, right?
Exactly.
Florist, you ruin that. Now, I used to use this example in trainings all the time, and then the florist caught me and dressed me down, which was a lot of fun. But she says, look, a $50 bouquet, you're right, but if you're talking about a $10,000 wedding, there's a lot of trust that needs to be developed to do that. I was like, yes, ma'am, you're right.
Yeah. But you just say like retail, if you think right. Like whereas there's not as much trust attached to a product than there is an actual transaction between two individuals that's going to create some type of agreement where both will benefit from it.
Yeah, for sure. And so either they're getting too much business, they're not getting enough business, they're going out of business, so they're retiring, that kind of stuff, or moving out of, changing jobs, all of those kinds of things factor into this. Yeah. And so what I try and do is really focus on the folks that have been here for a while, right? We're giving out some awards. I brought a bunch of them up with me for our area director.
Awesome.
To go to chapters with the directors and give you guys awards. I've got 10, 15-year member name tags in there, 5-year member name tags, green light members, just all the things that we talk about. Hey, when you do these things, you're going to be successful. Well, we want to recognize the folks that do it well. And typically speaking, that's our members that have been around for a little while. Not to say that new members can't.
Of course, yeah.
But it takes you a little bit of time to get into that groove. So, yeah, I don't like losing that many people. I'd rather keep you.
Well, of course. How many thousand did you say? What was the number total?
So I've got
out of the 51 chapters?
51 chapters. We've got about 1,075 members.
Okay, 1,075 members. So, and that's across all the state of Louisiana and then southern and central Mississippi.
Central and southern Mississippi. Yeah. So if you talk about 25 years of doing this, I've been in this thing for 25 years. and the thousands of people that have come through over the years. I mean,
I mean, you probably have a network of 30,000 people,
and then
that personally, I mean, at least know you and had a conversation with you.
And then my counterparts that I work with all around the country and the globe, so executive directors of other areas in BNI, and then the folks that I trained for 11 years all around the world. So it is mind-boggling, but I'm not nearly as popular as you would think.
Not yet.
I know a lot of people, and it is a lot of fun, and I've built some really great relationships with people over the years. Made some really good friends, which is a great place to be.
Well, let's talk about. Well, one, I want to mention this too when you brought it up earlier, but I don't want to cut you off. International, the conference. Mm-hmm. So I was fortunate enough to go when it was hosted in the States. Mm-hmm. How many years ago was that?
So I think you went to the was it a national in Dallas?
Yes.
Okay, so that was a national conference.
National, excuse me. National.
That was in 2019.
Yeah, because they moved it around. I think that was the closest one.
Yeah, our national conference hops. Yeah.
The national one, that was phenomenal. Like anyone, like even if you're not, man, I don't get in BNI just so you can go to that.
Right.
Like,
the next one's in Houston, and it's going to be the first week of April next year, which is running right up on Hogs.
Yeah, I can't make that. But I mean, phenomenal, man. Like phenomenal. Just
I'd love to have it in New Orleans.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing.
We hosted the BNI National Conference in 2003.
Ooh, how was that?
The year I bought the franchise.
Oh, so you were just overwhelmed that year. Probably you couldn't enjoy it like you could now. But
we took all the conference attendees on the street, so they stayed in town in the warehouse district at the Embassy Suites. We put them on a streetcar on St. Charles and brought them all the way down to Audubon Park, and we boiled crawfish for all of them in Audubon Park. I have never boiled so many crawfish for so many people that didn't eat crawfish in my life. I mean, because New Orleans, boy, you figure, okay, they could eat 5 pounds of, 5 pounds.
Yeah, everyone eat 5 pounds.
Whatever. No.
They were eating like one,
right?
Half a pound.
But we had a blast, and it was an experience and something that, you're not going to go eat boiled crawfish anywhere else, and come to a conference. And so it just happened to be that time of year, and that was a lot of fun. So the conference is great.
Just being a new member, even if you're a year or two in, and I got a lot out of it. I just got a lot out of it, like not education, but just camaraderie.
Yeah.
Just going in there.
Well, you came with some folks, right?
Right. It was a group of us. It was a group of us.
You guys came. Well, the relationships you establish when you're, going to an event like that, it's the travel time over there together and hanging out and, what are you going to go see? And I'm going to go. And you come back and that's a relationship that you're going to have for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah, man. It was a great time. And then, like I said, just being able to meet Ivan, that was cool. Yeah. Because you hear him talk all the time, and he's all his trainings and stuff. And it's like, I don't know if this guy's real. You know what I mean? Like,
he is the nicest man on the planet.
Yeah, it's almost like too good to be true. Sometimes when you hear people talk, and you're like, this guy can't be this awesome.
For a dude that founded an international organization that has got approximately a lot of people in it, and a lot of chapters. He's just a humble, down to earth dude, and you have a conversation with him and go have dinner with him.
The dude talked to me for like 10 minutes, and I was like, I felt important when I left. I was like, dude, I just went. Now let's go drink, man. I feel great now. I'm gonna celebrate. You want to try this Noel out real quick?
Yeah, let me clean that up first.
Finish that off. I can't remember how good it was, but I do remember it being good.
Well, I'll compare it to...
there we go. We're having our own little mini tequila talk here,
That would have been cool if you could have been here tomorrow. Tequila talk.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That'd have been great.
Well, so one of my kids goes to NOCA, which is the New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts. He's a dancer.
Okay.
And his class dance, it's not a recital, but their performance is tomorrow night and Thursday night. And
what type of dances do they do? Like, is it classical?
It's everything.
Oh, so everything.
So it's a school for dance, and my Jordan's focus is ballet.
Okay.
He is the Nutcracker in the Nutcracker.
Cool. That's cool.
In New Orleans, in one of the productions in New Orleans. That's on the 21st and 22nd. But tomorrow night and Thursday night everything from tap, jazz, ballet, hip hop, everything.
Ballet, African. Any of those, but ballet, like the amount of physical. I mean, do you have to be in phenomenal shape?
He is in phenomenal shape.
Yeah.
This kid is just a muscle. And his brother, his twin brother, so he looks just like me, and his twin brother looks just like his mama. And his twin brother is scrawny but cut, right? Like one of those teenagers that you got no meat on his bones, but what meat he does looks pretty good. Yeah. And he's an outdoorsy kid, right? He loves to hunt and fish and get out and ride bikes and do that kind of stuff. And Jordan is always performing. He's in musical theater. He's in ballet and dance and anywhere. And my house is a constant recital, musical theater recital. It does not. We have been singing a lot of Wicked the past couple of weeks.
Okay.
All right, let's get this.
Let's get into this.
See, now I get a lot of vanilla out of that.
See, a lot. It's got the caramel in it. Notes of buttery caramel and oak.
Okay.
But
well, maybe it's caramel.
But it's.
Oh,
now, I think this one probably has additives. I believe.
Really good.
I think we looked it up, and this one has additives. Like some people there's this whole thing. I'm sure you've seen it too with the whiskeys and stuff. It's like the additive free, yada yada yada. I don't care if it tastes good. It tastes good.
That's right.
I feel like if I'm gonna drink, I'm poisoning my body technically, anyways.
That's right.
I'm gonna enjoy the process of doing so. Well, what else, man? What's new? What's new in the spectrum of everything? I mean, business.
It's kind of interesting. Through this year, we've been really watching the economy and how bad the economy's been.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's been as bad as, prices are high, but, prices get high when there's a supply and demand issue, right? When you got not enough supply and a lot of demand.
Well, what's funny about that? Like, the entirety of my life, every year, everything is more expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's the way life works.
Yeah.
And also, you make more money.
Yeah.
Right? So, interest rates have sucked. And what's funny is when I first started doing BNI, interest rates were not all that great.
What do you think? What was the average percentage interest rate in 1999, Josh? Just for, like, mortgage. That's what everyone wants to talk about. I'm just interested to see so we can give them exact reference here. I'm sure it caught it. 7.4%.
Yeah.
And what's the average today?
It did not get back up that high, I don't think.
I want to say 6.5. 6.6, close.
Yeah.
There you go. So it was worse when you started.
And it got down, it was 3.
Yeah.
3 something. And you could do, that was the funniest thing.
They got down in the twos. They got down in the twos.
When I first started doing BNI is when they first started doing the 100% financing. So we're going to finance your 80% of your loan, and then we're going to finance 20% on another loan, and that's how 2008 happened. And we had that big
bubble
bust, right? It was because we were writing all these garbage loans and 100% financing them, and the people that were taking loans had no skin in the game, so to speak. And so I kind of watched that happen, and when the interest rates were low. So our business, BNI, is driven by real estate and finance. And when interest rates were low and realtors were selling things before they even hit the market, there wasn't a whole lot of need for BNI for those folks. They didn't, I don't need those alliances, right?
They don't need marketing, they don't need anything.
I don't need to do that. Well, when it all slows down and now interest rates are up and you're not selling houses as fast, I need a way. I need to find a way to market differently from other people. And so that activity, and then there's a trickle-down effect. I don't like to use that term, but there is. There's because your housing market and your real estate, really drives a lot of other things in the area. So I've watched throughout this year whether it was really necessary or not. I've watched people go, okay, I need an alliance. I need to get involved in something where I can build relationships, and BNI works. I mean, you can go join a chamber, and if you get involved at a high level, yeah, you're going to make some connections, and you'll get some referrals here and there. And I love chambers. I'm a member of all of them, but they're not a referral organization. I can go join a business association or even a service club like a Rotary, which I am a part of. And yeah, you're going to get business out of it, but not like a BNI where my whole focus in life is to help you grow your business.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
And I do that through alliances. So I think that as an organization, we will continue to grow. I don't know what the future holds for the economy. I'm not an economist. I don't know where that's going to go. I hope it continues to go well. I hope prices come down. I don't think they will. I mean, if once you raise your prices, are you going to drop them?
No, exactly.
No, hell no. You're not going to drop your prices. I'm already here. So, now if your demand dwindles, then yeah, you might need to drop your prices if you don't have the demand that you used to have. So I am looking forward to next year. I've got some energy back in me that I hadn't had for a few years. You get a little burnt out doing this. And
well, I can imagine, especially at your level, like that amount of just transactions and interactions you have to have on a daily basis, and not all being productive, but I say productive, all growth driven, because I mean, with all of this responsibility and being over all these type of people, imagine the drama that you get to hear and deal with too.
I do not so much as I used to.
That's good.
I've got a saying that says if you spend, and I didn't come up with this, I credit Cammie Miller, and she credits somebody else. She's one of our directors in Baton Rouge, but she likes to say if you spend more than 10 minutes on BNI drama, you've spent too much time on BNI drama.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not here for your drama. We're here to help you grow your business, and if you want to play, hey, let's roll. If you want to be dramatic and act like a shithead, go somewhere else.
Well, it's going to phase itself out. It always does.
It does. So it's like I said, I've got a little pep in my step again, and the pandemic really took a lot out of us. I mean, it was just really, it was heartbreaking, quite frankly. I mean, we went from 1,100 members to 750.
I'm surprised you didn't lose more than that, honestly, just because of what I saw firsthand, but that's still a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, it's almost half,
It was dramatic. Now we have built back up, and it has, we're at a good space right now. I have got a full team of area directors. I've never had that before. I've got an area director for each city that we operate in, and they're all fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're doing pretty good. With that aspect, and I'm looking forward to next year. And I want to tell you my favorite thing, though, because you said I deal with a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I had a few other questions. That was one of them. Yeah, tell me.
So one of my favorite things is when you call my office and you need something, and I can help you, and I get to talk to you as a member one-on-one, and I'll spend as much time as you need me to spend with you to answer your question, make sure you feel good about being a part of this organization. I had a lady call me not too long ago, and she asked one of my least favorite questions, which is, where does the money go? I'm a business like anybody else, right? I've got expenses. I got office expense and telephones and
what was the reason
payroll.
Behind that, did she say?
Well, so she had just she had just sponsored a new member into her chapter.
Okay.
And she was feeling responsible for this new member spending $700 on, or $750 on a new membership for the chapter.
How long has she been a member?
1 year.
Okay.
She had just renewed her dues.
Okay.
And she had just sponsored this new person. And she's in a chapter that's kind of small. I think it was 7 members when she joined. It's maybe 11 now.
Okay.
Right. So that's small. You're not where you need to be. Right. And so she, where's the money going? Well, look, and I'll explain to you a little, I got royalties that we pay, and, I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'll say, really my focus for you is not where does your $750 go, but how can I help you 10x that, 720x.
Exactly.
I mean, I want you to make so much money from your affiliation in BNI and the referrals that you get that this is not even a consideration.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even think about that. That's a drop in the bucket compared to Yeah.
Well, by the time I got off the phone with her, and we probably spent a good 20 minutes on the phone talking, and I'm talking about, one-to-ones, and I'm talking about building relationships and inviting visitors, and I'm talking about, filling your sphere and the dog and pony show. Really, the meeting that you're inviting visitors to has got to be a solid meeting. If you're inviting visitors to some half-assed thing that it doesn't look like a BNI, you're losing.
Yeah.
Don't even invite them. And so by the time I got off the phone with her, she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I had this conversation with you." She goes, "I feel so much better about this, and I'm going to absolutely kill this." I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Call me back. This is my office number. I will pick up the phone.
Well, I mean, you're on a 1,000-foot view of doing the exact same thing, just at scale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's the same thing. You help each member, they're going to grow. It's just, it's a snowball effect.
If I can help her get her chapter to 24 members from 11,
yeah,
and help those people, well, that just helps me. I mean,
it helps you, but it helps them, and it's not like, it's just like anything else. Like my goal when I first got really knees deep into it was just making sure that I could try to facilitate as many referrals as possible, because I was just like, if I can just get these people connected to my network as fast as I can, then I think it'll all just connect the dots, and it did. But the thing about it that's funny to me, on another note, is how casual it's become since after I joined. I think the entire business. Have you seen the transition in how business professionalism across the board?
I have not put on a tie in, I can't tell you.
But when I met you, suit, tie,
the whole thing.
Yeah. And I was even a little more upscale in my, presence, because I was almost in any of those business meetings, I was almost intimidated. Yeah. Because I
remember you in a long sleeve button-down shirt.
Yeah.
And it would come up and I go, "Oh, he's got sleeves."
Yeah, man. Because it was one of those things where coming out of oil and gas into business, it was just like everyone was suit and tie. And it's interesting. I was interested in your take on it, how the temperature has changed.
It also depends on the city.
Oh, okay. Really?
So
you still see that?
I find Baton Rouge to be more professional than any other city in Louisiana, dress-wise.
When it comes to presentation.
Yeah, presentation, dress-wise. It also depends on your industry. Bankers,
of course.
Financial planners, CPA, those guys that have to build trust. Your first impression's your first impression. I will say that a big part of the reason I haven't put on a tie is I can't really button the top button anymore. It's got a little tight now. But it's not, if I go and I have a suit for tomorrow, I did not bring a tie, but I have a suit. It'll be open collar, but it's still a suit with my Doc Martens.
Yeah, again.
Because, why not? Sometimes you got to wear the shit kickers.
Oh, yeah, dude. Awesome.
So I have found that, 100%, a lot more casual than it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
and
a
every
lot,
year
man.
It gets a little bit.
Well, I just feel like I can let my hair down now. Like, you know what I mean? Versus before, where it was just, I don't know. I think everyone just took themselves too serious. Yeah. And I think we all just got the shit kicked out of us, and we're just finally like, hey, dude, we're surviving. Yeah. We do good quality work, no matter what your industry is. Yeah. Let's all work together, kind of thing,
Yeah. And like I said, you go through that where you're just home all the time for a while, and you start drinking a little bit, you gain a little bit of weight, and you're like, oh Lord.
That too, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it is a little bit more casual today.
Do you think how people exchange referrals has evolved too? Like as far as not being so emotional, or do you think it's more emotional, less transactional? Have you seen a shift in that?
I think it is. I think it is emotional to a point. In that when I'm going to send you a referral, I'm putting my reputation out there, and I want to make sure that you're going to make me look good.
Of course.
So in that way, I don't think that has changed.
Right.
And again, I think it depends on the profession.
Yeah.
Like if I'm referring the auto glass guy or the lawn guy, that's way transactional, right? There's not a whole lot of emotion in there. But if I got to refer Aunt Sally to my financial planner because her husband just passed and he's got this hunk of money she doesn't know what to do with, man, I got to know that you've been in the business for a while. I got to know that you're going to take care of Aunt Sally and not take advantage of her.
Isn't it interesting too how much you can learn? So my industry is marketing, right? And I've been doing it now for over 10 years. So I have to learn every one of the insides and outsides of my client's business before I can market them properly. Yeah. If I'm going to do it up to my,
for sure,
what I want to give them. Well, being in a networking group like this, or anything like this, and I sound like a salesman over here, but I just look, man, I'm passionate about helping each other, helping other business owners and stuff. You get to learn so much, like just you giving that example, like I'm sure you could open any business you want to and make it successful because you've had so many different dealings with all these types of individuals, and you've seen them thrive, and you've seen them fail, and you've seen them do things right, and you've seen them do things wrong.
But I'd have to have a passion for it.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
If it would be I wouldn't just go open. I wouldn't go open a grass company business. That wouldn't be fun for me. I wouldn't enjoy that. I would probably enjoy real estate. If I was going to do something different, it'd have to be commercial. I wouldn't want to do residential real estate.
That's a lot of tire kicking, man.
Yeah. So, but I can't see myself doing anything else but this. Yeah. I will say that through the pandemic, there was a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is wearing me out. But like I said, I got to let that pep back in my step, and I can't see myself going there. I had a buddy of mine ask me, I was driving up here talking to him, and he's like, so it's almost Christmas time. You ready to sell again? And I laughed. I said, no, man.
Circling back.
I'm going to be here for a while.
Well, that's funny, though. But even though you don't want to, or me or anybody, but like you could, just from the wealth of knowledge that everyone has, if you really sit in there and you really pay attention to who you're giving referrals to and their type of business, and you learn how to vet those referrals,
Well, listen, I've got the gift of gab, and I'm a people person, and I will shake your hand, and we will be best friends. Even if we're not best friends, we'll still be best friends, and that goes a long way in networking. I'm not an introvert. I'm an extrovert.
Have you always been that way?
Always.
See, I was an introvert when I joined BNI, so I'm going to have to give you a little credit for that, because this podcast would probably not be here had I not joined. Dude, I'm giving you a lot of credit today.
Yeah, well,
but I'm just saying.
Give the organization credit.
Yeah, but I'm going to give it to you because you're right here. You're representative of the organization. But I was an introvert, which is interesting, and I've seen a lot of people who are introverts come out of their shell.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's exciting.
BNI gives an introvert a safe place to practice their public speaking skills. That's a thing that you'd never think you would get from coming to and joining a BNI group, but you get a public speaking skill that is second to none because you got to do it every week. You have to stand up for 60 seconds and talk about yourself. And then every now and again, you get 10 minutes to stand up there and teach and train your referral partners how to refer you business. And when you do that year after year for a while, you get really good at it. And I love that aspect. And so we are a safe place for introverts to come and promote their business and build relationships without a whole lot of pressure. I mean, really the biggest pressure is showing up to the meeting. And as long as you control your day planner or your schedule, I had a guy tell me one time, do you control your schedule or does your schedule control you? I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make some changes here.
Yeah, that's definitely, mine's driven by every single task, every single day, every time.
Yeah, but you just got to kind of plan it out right and make sure that you spend some time marketing. BNI is not for everybody. It flat out is not for everybody. If it was, I'd have 5,000 members in Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
And a bunch more chapters. But it takes a really unique, special individual to be a BNI member and then to maintain that membership for any period of time. It's a commitment.
What's the longest time you've seen someone actively network in business?
So I've got one member down in South Louisiana. He's a 25-year member this year. He's reached 25 years.
How many years in business do you think he has?
He's, it's a good question. He's probably got 30.
So he's
he was open for a little while before he joined BNI. I might have to ask him. What's type
of business? It's going to be a trade or real estate. It's a trade.
Yeah,
plumbing, electrician.
No, he's a mechanic.
Mechanic. Okay.
Yeah, Cam Stephen Beatty with Collision and Mechanical Specialist.
Shout out to him, man.
Yeah, Stephen's been a member for 25 years, and he says I get as many referrals from the visitors and the guests as I do from the members.
That's any trade's amazing because every single person's your market.
Yeah.
You can't come in there and say, I can't get no business out of there.
Well, I want if I'm going to have somebody work on my car, I want somebody I know, like, and trust that I know is going to be honest with me.
I've tried to get those type of people to visit and join. hats off to him that he's in it, and he's in it because he knows it works, right?
Yeah,
but
someone had a networker.
Okay, well that makes a difference because most of those guys are so roped into their business that you can't get them to step away for an hour.
Right. Well, they're doing one of two things: they're turning wrenches or they're writing up invoices.
Exactly.
Right.
Or doing estimates or whatever. Yeah.
And that's their world. And then if you're a good mechanic, in some cases, you got a waiting list of people waiting to get into your shop. You don't really need to market.
Right.
But he had a vision, and you got to know how to grow and scale your business, right? If you're gonna get out there and market it, whether it's with you or with BNI or however you're going to do it, you have to know how to accept that business and turn it around with good customer service, and you're going to need to hire people to do that.
Yeah, you have to. You have to be able to delegate and scale, and that's not for everyone.
No.
And I don't care how many books you read. Sometimes it's just not for everyone. But I do think if you're willing to do it, that you can 10 times your investment. No matter what you're doing, marketing, networking, any of it.
For sure. I mean, just if you do the one basic thing, which is show up for the meetings.
Yeah, show up and then start participating.
And then we've got a handful of other basic things, which are the one-to-ones, meeting outside the chapter meeting with other members, bringing visitors, bringing referrals, and educating yourselves.
Yeah.
If you educate yourself and you learn how to do this, those other three things fall into place pretty easily.
Well, I credit everything, man, and I know I'm putting a lot of pressure on you, but Josh wouldn't be here had I not met him as a visitor in BNI.
Right.
We didn't know each other. We never would have crossed paths, which then turned into us upscaling the up in the production of this podcast, and then turned into a business relationship where now we work together in my new business. Yeah. None of that would have ever happened had I not done the process of being in this organization and networking with business owners every single week and trying to help everyone, and then in turn developing relationships. This wouldn't be here if it wasn't for it,
Right.
And that's, I don't know, it's exciting to think about because you're sitting here now, we're talking about it, and I'm really thinking about it, and I never really have because you're just going through the processes, and it becomes second nature, and then you look back and you're like, dude, had I never made that decision and stuck with it, I'd still be working for somebody somewhere.
Yeah. You just never know the doors that's going to open, the people that are going to walk through that door, that somebody happened to invite that week.
You never know.
The substitutes are the best, right? I just begged this person to go substitute for me, and they did, and you hit it off with them. And
I got one for you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm missing so I'm a president, right? I'm missing the first meeting. I typically don't miss any meetings, but I have an obligation that's been on the calendar for 3 months.
Sure.
So listen to it's not Ivan's podcast, but it's the Power One podcast, which you probably
Tim Roberts.
Yeah, great.
I know Tim.
Great. He's got
a lot of years.
Well, he's got a great podcast too.
Absolutely.
And
I've been on that one too.
Really?
Yeah.
What
years
episode?
ago?
What episode? You don't know?
No, years ago.
Man, we'll have to look that one up. There's an episode on there that my new education coordinator signed because we're doing that type of low activity.
Good.
You've seen it.
Good. Yeah.
And it was finding a sub for you that is a potential member you've been trying to get to join.
Yep.
So I'm using that experiment tomorrow. So I have a CPA, very, very good friend of mine, who's actually a CPA for a good bit of some of my clients and me as well, that I've been trying to get to join. She's visited one time, but CPAs are just like anyone else, very busy, hard to nail down. But if you get them in there and they really have a good experience, they'll stay there for life.
Yeah.
I guess that's really any member, I guess. But so I've reached out to her. I was like, look, I want you to be my sub tomorrow. Because she's been saying she's going to come back week after week. She's had something come up. I was like, so I think I put a little bit of pressure on her.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need a sub. I like you to be that person because I want you to experience not feeling the pressure of a potential guest, but just feeling accepted, and you can just represent me. And if you can say whatever you want about me. I'm hoping she says something good. But I'm excited. I'm excited for that feedback because we were talking about that specific podcast, and it was just a suggestion of how to get a different sub, have you seen that?
Yeah. Well, I've had that concept for years. Yeah.
Oh, so it works great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I've never seen it in action. We've just never implemented it. It was just one of those things where you go through the process, you talk about all these different ways and angles to get people here and to get people to show up in business. And then,
and you can even do it, take it a step before that and say, hey, I'm going to need a sub for my chapter at some point. I don't have one that I can rely on.
Right.
I would like you to join me at my meeting this week so I can introduce you to everybody. So when I do need a sub, you're already familiar with the location and the people in the room, and you're comfortable and you know people. So why don't you come join me? And
I think I do think that's a good move because you don't want to It makes them feel more comfortable when they go back the second time.
Well,
right?
sure, and that lowers the risk of your sub saying, yeah, I'll go do that for you, and then they don't show up.
Or the worst is the reading off the list. Standing up and reading off of.
When I first started doing this, chapters would create substitute lists. And it's like, guys, you don't.
Did they share?
Yeah.
Oh no! See, I don't like that either.
Guys, you don't get the point of this.
Yeah, I don't like that.
The point is not to have a warm body sit in your place. That's not the point here. The point is that you add value to the chapter meeting when you're not there. Yeah. And when you send a professional to substitute for you that's potentially a member, or even if they're not potentially a member, if they can do business with or refer business to the members, that's great. If you're inviting Joe from the chapter down the street to come substitute for you because he's available, and that way it won't count as an absence for you, you're not adding any value. Joe's a member of another chapter. He's not going to refer any of you all business. He's got his own people to refer to. Right. So, so that's kind of the point of the thing, is that you add value to it when you're not there. And you want to get different people to do that for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I have a team here. I could send someone, and I have in the past, but I feel like let's shake it up.
As a last resort.
Right, let's shake it up. They know our business. They can represent us, but like I want someone, I just want to shake it up. And also, it's a very good representation of you. Like, they give you a testimonial, hopefully.
Right. That's right. Absolutely. So,
and I was listening to something the other day about how it was another podcast we did, and that was in Ivan's, one of Ivan's, but I can't remember the number, where how the testimonials portion of the, what I'm talking about, of that came about on accident. The testimonial portion of the last part of the meeting was not by structure.
It was not by
design. Happened by accident. Do you know the story?
Yeah.
Can you share it?
Well, I watched Ivan do it. Oh, God, I don't know if I remember it now. But I've watched Ivan tell that story quite a bit over the years. Do you remember it? I don't remember.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember. I don't remember the specifics of it, but basically, I remember that at the end of the meeting, you would swap referrals.
Yes,
and then
it was referral or pass.
It was a chiropractor.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah, you remember
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah,
I'm with you now. So yeah, it was either you gave a referral at the time or you passed. It was one of those two options.
Well, let's lay the foundation out for everyone first, because a lot of people watching have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay.
So, our meeting's structured in these business networking meetings. It starts out with an introduction of the team who leads the meeting. Mm-hmm. Then it goes into a little bit about the meeting and the organization. And then each member gets to stand up and represent themselves for 60 seconds to the entire group of people, members and visitors. Mm-hmm. After that, guests get to introduce themselves and talk about their business. Yeah. Then there's a spotlight presentation for the person who gets picked that week. Basically, there's a rotation where they get to talk more about their business. And this is a selection that rotates every single week. And then at the end of the meeting, once all that's over with and we're about to close out, then each member and guest can stand up and they can talk about what business they passed that week, what business they received that week, or they can talk good about another referral partner.
We call it the I have portion of the meeting.
Correct.
I have a referral. I have a testimonial. I brought a visitor.
Right. But just a preference, I wanted everyone to understand that process. But yeah, now you can.
It's a 20-point agenda that's run by a good chapter president. Seems like you've run a few of them. And so when it comes to the referral and testimonial portion, when this first got started, it was either you had a referral or you said pass. I don't have a referral. And so there was a chiropractor who was a part of the first chapter, went to Ivan and said, Dr. Meisner, or he wasn't doctor at the time, I think it was Ivan. Ivan, I've been a part of this group for a little while, and I'm not getting anything. And he says, not only am I not getting anything, but nobody's even talking to me about chiropractic care. He goes, usually if I'm in an area, and this is 1985, right? Yeah. Chiropractic was relatively new, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
And so he went to Ivan and said, nobody's even talking to me about chiropractic. Usually somebody will come to me and talk to me about an experience that they've had or somebody else they know has had with chiropractic, but I'm not even getting that. And Ivan says, okay, well, look, let's just keep going. Let's just keep at it, keep trying. And, you could offer a free consultation and come into the office and, you could take them on a tour and do that kind of thing. He says, okay, I'll try that. So at that meeting, he stood up and he offered the free consultation, and they went around. He didn't get any referrals, and he went to Ivan afterwards and he was like, thanks. That worked real well. But that week, one of the members of the chapter stopped by his office and took him up on the free consultation. And the next week at the meeting, Ivan was running the meeting, and he's going around the table, and he says, referral or pass, referral or pass, referral or pass. And when he got to the gentleman who went and visited the chiropractor, the gentleman says, well, I don't have a referral today, but I don't want to pass. And Ivan says, well, what do you want to do? He goes, well, I'd like to say something. And Ivan says, okay, what would you like to say? And the gentleman stood up and he says, well, I went and visited our chiropractor. He had offered a free consultation, and I went and visited him this week. And it was amazing. He took me on a tour of his office. He showed me an area of his office where he treats sports, does sports injuries and whatnot. He took x-rays of me. He showed me the x-ray room. Then he put me on this table and it kind of vibrated. And then he took me in and he showed me what was going on with the x-rays. And he took me in and he gave me an adjustment. And because, guys, I feel great. I've had this nagging lower back pain for years, and I thought I was going to have to live with this for the rest of my life, and I have no pain. And if you all know somebody that needs a chiropractor, oh my God, if you're not referring him, you all are crazy. And that's all I wanted to say. And he sat down, and he looked around at Ivan, says, they looked around the table, and now you got people filling out referral slips, referring themselves to the chiropractor. And what we learned was, at that moment, when somebody loans their credibility to another professional that has credibility with members in the group or with people in an area, that credibility is transferable. And when you give a good testimonial, I feel real comfortable now. And I want to do business with
it's contagious.
You, right? Yeah.
That's contagious, and it spreads, and it's that's what's cool. And yeah, man. I mean, I figured you knew the specifics once we got rolling because you've been doing this a while.
I have.
And you probably hear a lot and talk about a lot.
It's been so long since I've done these stories.
That fell on my lap.
Yeah,
like a few weeks ago, and like I said, this wasn't. We didn't have this planned today, so like it's not like I was just like didn't know what we were going to talk about, But yeah, that fell on my lap a couple weeks ago. That and then the other things we were talking about, and it's just it all boils down to everyone working together with trying to achieve a common goal. But the biggest thing is there's bad stigma behind stuff like this because people have been to drab meetings and they've been to multi-level marketing schemes and they've been to all these things where people try to sell them something. So when you invite someone to some a structured meeting like what we do every single week, they're a little bit they have their wall up already because they've been to something where maybe it was a bad chamber meeting or a bad business lunch and they're weird about it anyways. But once you get in there and get to working together, man, it's really hard to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I did a couple of sales jobs before I fell into BNI. The first one I worked for a company called Unishippers Association. Unishippers resold Airborne Express overnight shipping.
Okay.
That was a tough sell. Door to door, knocking on doors. The next one that I worked for was Mobilecom. I sold beepers, business to business. I sold pagers. It was tough because it was right as beepers were dying, right? And I got that gig, and that was kind of interesting. Then I went to work for Muzak and kind of tripped in to BNI, and it's all about the relationships that you have with people, no matter what business that you happen to be in. It's the people that you know and that know you. And if they trust you, they'll refer you. Yeah. And those testimonials help build those relationships and build that credibility.
Yeah, man. And there's one every single week that's just almost a tearjerker, man. Yeah. Sometimes, if you have the right member that can tell it, there's always a good story. Yeah. And that creates the best connection ever, No.
So I love what I do. I really do. I have enjoyed this, except for the pandemic part. I've really enjoyed this. I love helping people, and especially if I can help you grow and become successful. I've watched some organizations as startups take hold and grow. NOLA Lending. I'll give you an example there. I watched NOLA Lending start in NOLA as a BNI member or two.
Really?
Yeah. And then next thing you know, Fidelity is acquiring NOLA Lending, and they've got agents all over the place. And I, certainly don't take any credit for their success, but I'd like to think BNI had something to do, with their growth and the opportunity that they got. I love that company, man.
That's I didn't know that. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I've watched a lot of them over the years. And it's fun to run across them again every now and again, and you see them out, and it's like, hey man, how you doing? Yeah,
you should write like a memoir about all the crazy B&I stories you have, man.
You know, I'm sitting here trying to remember these stories, and you said chiropractor. I went, oh yeah, I know that story. I remember that now.
Well, let's wrap this thing up, dude. I'm excited you're in town. I'm excited for all the new growth this year and into next year, and it's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so
bro.
much.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.